Good morning. It's Thursday, February the 3rd, 2022. 369, damn you fine. Hoping you can sock it to me one more time. I'm Jay Clifton Payne. This is things you might not have heard for this day, which are actually things you might not have heard yesterday. So much for that great start. Things I heard yesterday. These are stories that we plucked from the internet. We presented to you guys, and you chose via our feeds where we post the stories. Which stories are the most interesting stories to talk about for today going forward? So if you are going to make it into work today, then these are some conversational things that pop up, or maybe you can drop it in your Zoom meeting that's going to be rescheduled. Because if you can hear from my left, you're right. You are listening to the sound of sleet just pinging off my chimney right now because we've had about 12 hours of freezing rain going so far here in central Arkansas, and it looks like it's going to continue. While I didn't go with Diddy and we ain't going nowhere, we got more musical puns coming up. But we do have the 5 stories. We have 6 stories today that we posted in the listings that you told us were worth talking to. We cheated a little bit to make it work, but we're going to go ahead and give you those stories right now. And because we only have 6 stories and not the typical 8 or 15 we do beforehand, there will be ads. Ads will be had. You shall see some ads. So if you want to support stuff what going on here at headquarters for the Conversation Project and, of course, More Better Media, it's pretty simple. You can, number one, stop by the website, buymeacoffee.com/J Cleveland Payne, where today I am drinking my horrible sludge coffee to remind me of my days back in radio when I had to actually be at work dealing with this weather to go with that. But your contributions help keep us caffeinated, keep us hydrated. We do water too. Keep the lights on. Literally, we're working on lights and other effects. So try to get the things going in, and hopefully at some point in time, hire a real staff and not just, my 9-year-old who basically whines and complains and doesn't do the job anyway. You can do that as well. More information about how other ways you can contribute coming up in the broadcast. But first, let's get to story number 1 of things you might want to talk about if you happen to wander across civilization on this day. Brian Flores sues NFL 3 teams as former Miami Dolphins coach alleges racism in hiring practices. ESPN.com is a source of this one, and this story has grown since it was basically first produced about 2 days ago, maybe 2.5 days ago, and it has grown and launched itself into a masterful, large sort of kerfuffle that the NFL helped deal with. Brian Flores is a black head coach, or I should say was a black head coach of the Miami Dolphins, recently fired, maybe for performance, he goes with that. But he's got all sorts of triggers and all sorts of things to talk about his time and tenure in the head coaching realm, or trying to be head coaches. Number one, he alleges that the hiring practices, the Rooney Rule, if you will, that makes coaches makes coaches actually interview black coaches, or I'm sorry, make teams interview black coaches or other minority coaches for a chance at head coach's job, because if they don't get interviewed, they can't get hired. It's kind of a sham, because most cases, in fact, 3 cases particularly, he interviewed for a head coaching job for teams that knew they're hiring other people, and those other people happen to be white people. He also saying that Miami Dolphins told him to tank, and he basically was being paid to do that. He had a bounty on losing games. It wasn't just tank so we can get this first round draft pick. It's tank, and here's a little extra cash for it. The biggest part about the growing part of the story is that there are apparently other black head coaches, I should say former, because there's right now only currently 1 black head coach, and they treat him very, very, very well. In fact, the Rooney Rule named for the family that owns the team, being Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers. There may be some other former head coaches who may jump in on this suit, turn into a class action lawsuit, and make the NFL actually have to deal with this. We shall see going forward. Story number 2, first-time nominees Duran, Dolly Parton, Eminem, and Tribe Called Quest lead the Rock Ampersand Roll Hall of Fame class of 2022 ballot. Should have checked that one in the sifting of the news stories. But there you go. There are, last time I checked, there's a long list of names who are on the ballot. But these are some first-time headliners that look like they're going to make it off the bat, being, like I said, Duran, well-deserved. Dolly Parton, who's getting some blowback for some reason, but Hell, who doesn't love Dolly Parton? Dolly Parton should be in the Fish Tank Hall of Fame if they had one. Eminem and A Tribe Called Quest, younger folks, but their music having a lot of big impact and in the world, especially for a guy like me. Tribe Called Quest, something that I grew up to, literally birthing into the world of music and hip hop. The Tribe Called Quest and Eminem, who while you may not like his lyrics, you may not like his look, not like his personality, he sold a lot of records, changed a lot of industry standards, and is still kind of doing it today. He's actually in the Super Bowl halftime show coming up with Dr. Dre and his more or less crew. So we'll see how this goes on. These guys more or less going to make it on the first time ballot. We'll see who all gets in the next couple of weeks. How do you get into better working environments? Try using Grammarly. Go to thisistheconversationproject.com/Grammarly and get in on this app, on this website, on this tool. What it does is it fixes your grammar. You can paste into the site your words, and it gives you prettier words to say or prettier words to read, however you're going to do that. And what's really cool is Grammarly is an app that basically interacts with pretty much anything. Once you add it to your browser, it will spell check anything you do in your browser. You can add it to your word processors, Word or some of the other ones, and it will spell check it using their software and their science to make yourself feel better. It will grade you, and it will do all the things that you need to do for work. If you're a student, it will work on your assignments so you can make sure you're doing within your level of proper standards there. If you're in business, it'll write you for business. If you're just writing pretty letter stuff, it'll do that as well. And of course, for people who are trying to do that great American novel, even if it's not so great anymore, it will help you get prettier words and less dangling participles. Although dangling participles happens to be my favorite band from the 80s. Very poor time joke. Go to thisistheconversationproject.com/Grammarly and get in on this great deal we have for you. And we get a great deal from you doing this because this is an affiliate link. So we get a little bit from this, but it costs you nothing extra. We're just opening the door for you to go to Grammarly. Two more stories real quick. CNN boss Jeff Zucker resigns, says he failed to disclose office relationship with former Andrew Cuomo aide. CNBC had this one, but this one is another story that blew up over the day part. Now, this is a bit complicated. It's more involved than the headline says, and it gets more involved as it goes along. But first, let's go back to a few months ago when Chris Cuomo of Cuomo Primetime was fired from CNN for helping his brother Andrew Cuomo, the former governor of New York, try to blow over and basically, for lack of a better term, screw over some people who said that Andrew Cuomo sexually harassed them. Those cases are still going on. Of course, Cuomo resigned from the governor's role, and a new governor's in. But from way back when, because Chris Cuomo lost his job for basically trying to play a wingman to his brother in those cases, lost his job, lost some money from his contract, basically said, "I shall return and I will burn this place down." I'm not sure those actual quote, but basically the whole point was people said he wanted to burn down CNN. What happens months later? Jeff Zucker is resigning because he had a relationship he did not disclose with another staffer. I believe that she's the head of marketing in some case for CNN. This is a pretty big in the branding and marketing part. She also used to be an aide to Andrew Cuomo, his head of communications way back when. She still has a job, and we'll see how that goes because apparently the underground talk is the ladies left at CNN are not so happy that she has a job and Zucker's out. But Jeff Zucker has resigned more or less officially immediately as of the notice of this because he didn't tell the world he had this relationship. It basically started more or less in bits and pieces before she was working for him, and then he started working for him, and then it got bigger. So these are the perils of office relationships. Even people at the top have to be careful about their disclosures because every so often, I'll say not all the time, but every so often, somebody gets pinched. Alexander Vindman sues Donald Trump Jr., others for alleged witness intimidation over impeachment testimony. abcnews.go.com is our source for that one. And it's not only DT Jr., also Rudy Giuliani, Dan Scavino, and Julia Hahn, who, of course, Scavino and Hahn worked for the administration for Donald Trump himself. what Mr. Vindman is saying, the former Army officer who worked in the Oval Office as a part of a liaison team, who basically, because he's Ukrainian by lineage and has the knowledge of what's going on there. After he testified that Donald Trump did a bunch of really, really silly stuff in the Ukraine stuff, and which got him impeached. Essentially, these four and a few other folks went on a campaign of terror to besmirch his name and basically make things bad for him, keeping him out of jobs, keep making him look bad, being able to throw up red meat for folks over at stations like Fox News so they can basically vilify him some more, when all he did was testify under oath. Oh yeah, he was subpoenaed. He had no choice, and he doesn't have a bunch of really fancy, expensive lawyers because he's just a lieutenant colonel in the Army. So he did what he needed to do. He told the truth. He did what was there, and it turned out that people who don't like the truth or being kind of shown to be liars like to lie more, I guess. We're going to see whether this lawsuit actually goes any place. We're going to see whether that means more Rudy Giuliani, because we got more Giuliani stuff coming on. He can't seem to get his way out of the news for a person who needs to get out of the news. We'll see if it turns out for anybody else. And yes, I did promise 2 Trumps. We have another Trump coming after this quick ad, or not so quick ad, depending on how fast I can ramble through it. But this is an ad for Blinkist, the Blinkist app. Go to thisisaconversationproject.com/Blinkist, and you can do something really cool. You can take your cell phone, you can take your computer, take your tablet, you can take your smartwatch, actually, and you can listen to books on the go. And not only just books, some of the greatest self-help and nonfiction books that are out there, and you can do it in about 15 minutes. And if you want to, take in the whole experience of reading them, you can read them in about 15 minutes. What you're reading and listening to are what they call blinks. Blinks are the essence, the tone, the exact points and pieces from those big books broken down into the right pieces, right size, right way to give them to you in great synopsis that are about 15 minutes total that you can read or you can listen to an audio version. Blinkist also has shortcasts, which are shorter versions of your favorite podcasts trimmed down. So they are also around 15 minutes long. And if you want to go long, they have these things called their books. They're books and biographies and things that you can put yourself to sleep. You can have a bedtime story read to you by the narrators at Blinkist. Check out thisisaconversationproject.com/Blinkist and get in on this one for your chance to get a free trial of the full version of the app. As we said, this is an affiliate link, so we get a small cut from your use. You pay nothing extra, but you get the joy of reading through Blinkist. And finally, as we said, we cheated this morning, and we have 6 stories, but these 2 stories are essentially the same. Number 1, Mary Trump pulling podcast from Spotify. TheHill.com gave us that one, and so there's your second Trump. Mary Trump has a podcast. She has all sorts of stuff you may or may not care about. Mary Trump, the niece of Donald Trump, who has nothing but bad things to say about her uncle, pulling her podcast off there as well. We talked about Brene Brown pulling her podcast off a while ago. The podcast thing is kind of minor. What got really, really cool, caught my attention, was that Crosby, Stills, and Nash, ampersand Nash, are joining Neil Young, and they're pulling their music off of Spotify. So Rap giving that story for their credit. So the weird thing about all this Spotify stuff is that it is becoming a bit of an army of folks who are pulling their stuff down. But what it is academic style podcasts such as Brene Brown or Mary Trump, and older musicians, Crosby, Stills, Nash, Young, Joni Mitchell. Folks like that are the ones that are leading the charge to pull things off. On the music front, it can seem kind of weird, because a lot of people have been complaining about Spotify essentially screwing musicians out of money anyway. They get less than pennies per play when it's all said and done. For the podcasting folks, unless they are exclusive and getting paid by Spotify, my podcasts are on Spotify because they're everywhere. Unless they're exclusively getting paid by Spotify, there really is no real difference because you can get your podcast at other places. The big issue is people pay for Spotify and love the app and love the exclusive people there, can't get your podcasts on the same venue. It's a lot like SiriusXM when Howard Stern went to SiriusXM off terrestrial radio. The only way to get Howard Stern was on Sirius, so a lot of people went to Sirius for the subscription. And since they were there, whenever they want to listen to Howard, they can listen to 80s on 8 or Fusion or POTUS or whatever they want to. But they paid to get in for with Howard, and then they had all these other things as options since they were there. It was gravy on top of it. That's basically what Spotify is trying to do, is trying to bring in people as subscribers as a way to make money. We'll see if people are going to lose their will to subscribe based off of Mary Trump or David Crosby, Stephen Stills, and Graham Nash. We also like to tease up stories that are coming down the line, so you know what stories to look for, tell you how we're doing things. This is a story that of all the stories that we pre-posted, this is one I think it's going to take a while to get to, but this is one that you may really need to dig down deep into, no puns intended. Nick Cannon says his celibacy journey, say that 3 times fast, celibacy journey began after conceiving 8th child, quote, I was out of control. A few days ago, we posted Nick Cannon was at a baby gender reveal party with Johnny Manziel's ex-girlfriend, and that it was a boy, I believe. But the whole way it was framed was Nick Cannon is at a baby reveal party with Johnny Manziel's ex-girlfriend, not his current girlfriend, not his current fling, not his current fiance, but with somebody else's ex-girlfriend. And it's a boy, assuming that it's Nick Cannon's. So with the announcement of this, Nick Cannon's also announcing that he's going celibate, because apparently having 8 kids with maybe 6 different women over the course of about 8 or 9 years, if even that long, is a problem. And even Nick knows he has a problem, or somebody pointed out to him and the publicist had him write something down for this problem. Whether this problem gets solved, well, who knows? Like we said, he's got a basketball team. He's working on a football team, maybe both lines, offensive, defense. We will see how far I can get along with that joke and how far Nick Cannon will go along in his celibacy, that's a word again, journey. We hope the best for him. We don't hope ill will on anyone, but we do want to see some sense of normalcy and responsibility. He's got 800 jobs, so he's all the kids are being taken care of, but it'd probably be nicer if he had less kids to have to take care of. Me personally saying that he can have all the kids he wants to, apparently, because he can pay for them. But it still is not a good look. So how can you support all the things we have going on for things you might not have heard and the Conversation Project? You can visit us at our website, thisisconversationproject.com, and learn about what's going on here very soon, once I actually update those pieces of the website. But find it anyway, bookmark it. It'll be a great read once we get that done. You can also stop by buymeacoffee.com/Jake and paying for coffee donations. For the cost of a cup of coffee or a few cups of coffee, you can help keep these things going. Direct donations, if you will, direct contributions, patrons, if you've heard of that one, is the wave of the future for independent content. This is independent content. This is hopefully good content, and this is a way to get into your ears and into your eyes some things that you might not have seen throughout the mainstream media. All these stories were posted from reputable news sources, but they did not get all the love they got, and hopefully not the context that I could give it to. So hopefully you enjoy my context and the fact I gave you a wild variety of things to look for. How do you actually pick those stories? If you follow us on Facebook and Twitter, Facebook.com/This is the Conversation Project and Twitter.com/TH_conversation, you will see every 50 minutes or so a news story coming down in your feed. So as the feed goes by, you just check it out, see what's going on, and engage with the stories. Like, love, hate, share, be a part of the deal. And what happens is we post about 30 to 32 stories in a regular day for Tuesday through Friday. For the weekend going into Monday, it turns to be about 92 to 95 stories or so. And with that, we take the top 15 stories. We put them in the spreadsheet, see which ones rank the top, take the top 15 stories from there, and we picked five. Today we picked six. Yeah, we cheated, and picked five stories that are conversational, that may not have gotten a big bit of context, or something that I want to actually put more context into, because a lot of times you get them in the news breaks that don't get a lot of news breaks. So check it out. Follow us on Twitter, th_conversation, and Facebook. It's This Is a Conversation Project. Oh, by the way, the teaser song for the day, lyrics coming from the song Get Low by Lil Jon and East Side Boys. And while I wanted to go with How Gentle Is the Rain, as you can probably hear the sleet hitting on the chimney here as I record this in the living room, I did this song so that I can specifically say sleet, 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 sleet. That's it. That's the joke. Probably didn't pay off as well as I thought it did, but hey, it's the joke. So with that, we're going to bid you adieu. This has been Things You Might Not Have Heard for Thursday, the 3rd of February, 2022. Can't see. And we're glad you're here. Hopefully you're going to stay safe, stay warm, stay dry. Here, we ain't moving too fast because we've got citywide sleet and snow and ice that's shutting down central Arkansas. And so we're going to stay safe here and do some work from home. Hopefully you'll be able to do the same as well. In the meantime, we're going to gather up more stories. Make sure you're following us on our feeds and check out more stories so that you can be with us tomorrow, power willing, that we can give you more stories that you might not have heard, so that if you suffer yourself to be out there in the world of the cold and icy, you can have conversations that are more than just the general blah, blah, blah. Although there'll be plenty of weather to talk about. I'm Jay Cleveland Payne. Thank you so much. We'll do this again tomorrow.